I don't even have the switch or whatever. See, there's no switch. The first thing I recommend you doing is getting one of these. This is the other version of the Nissan's turn signal and windshield wiper switch, but this one has the fog light option on it. As you can see, like this one has the fog light switch on and off right there, but if you look on my regular stock one that I had when I bought the car, it's not there. It's just missing. So I recommend you getting this piece. It's called I guess the multi-function switch or whatever. And I'll give you the link to the part number in the description so you can find that. Also, you're going to want to perhaps go on eBay and get one of these. I've already bolted in the fog lights at the bottom. They're not wired yet, but you can unbolt the plastic. There's usually a plastic cover in here. You pop that out after you unbolt the bolt that's at the top of it. You can access that through under here by pulling out your bottom liner and opening it up. Also, this is your fuse box. If your Nissan Altima is already pre-wired for fog lights, it will have wires coming out of these two empty slots right here. And if you have those, you'll be able to just plug your fog lights into the stock wiring. Usually only like Nissan SL's versions have that. But since I don't, I will have to get those wires, which I've already gotten from the junkyard. Okay, this is the end piece that I bought off a junkyard Nissan Altima to get the wires from. I'm going to solder these two wires to the ends of I'm going to solder these wires to the end of the fog light harness, and then they're going to get plugged into here as far as the I guess the positive charge end, and then like for the grounding end, you would actually put them on a loop up under the bumper. There's actually a bolt down there where you bolt the ground to. So, but in order to do this fog light wiring, you're gonna need the OEM fog light switch, which is on the windshield wiper manifold that I bought for the SL. It comes for the Nissan SL. This is the cover that I removed from the fog light opening. As you can see, there's a bolt that goes on the top of it. After you unbolt that, you can unpop it from right here, and you can just punch it right out of the hole. Too easy. Okay, now to remove this piece of garbage that doesn't have the fog light switch option on it, all I'll have to do is start the car. And you want to rotate your steering wheel until you see these two screws. You rotate it. See this screw right here? You're going to remove this one and this one. To remove the screws, now I'm going to pull this top cover off. And that gives me access to the actual switch column. As you can see, there's two more screws on each side. You're going to remove those and then lift out the column. Okay, now I'm going to turn the car off. I'm going to just, 1 second. Okay, now with the car off and all the screws removed, we're going to lift the column gently out of place. Like so. It should just slide right out. And be careful, there's a little plug that's plugged up right here. Don't want to rip it. I've lifted the column, the old column out of the car, and here we have the old, and this is the new. Make sure you push, there's a little tab on the plug that you can barely see. Make sure when you pulling the column out that you push this tab in to get the column off of the plug so you don't rip the plug out. And now we're going to install the new column that has the fog light option on it. I'm just going to take it, and it's Nissan stock OEM, so it slides right back. It slides right into place, just like that. And I'm going to plug. Make sure it's plugged. We got to plug it up. And look at there, it's actually a perfect fit. Only now that I have the fog light option on the car now. So I can turn fog lights on and off. And it slid right into place. Everything lined up perfectly. So if it's not lining up perfectly, you probably did something wrong. Or you might have the wrong part. Okay, now I'm going to start the car and test out and make sure that this thing is working. We'll start with the signals. And look at there. It's signaling with the light. Now I'm going to do the other one. It's working as well. The signals appear to be working. Let's try windshield wipers and make sure it's also working. The windshield wipers are working. The sprayer is working. Let's try headlights. Headlights are working. And I would test the fog lights, but they're not wired yet, so we're just gonna stay ready for that in a second. Okay, now I've gotten the new column completely screwed in. See? Now I have the fog light option stock in my car. So now I can turn the fog lights on and run my fog light wiring through the stock OEM system. And next I'm going to show you how to, next we're going to remove the pins. You're going to remove the pins from the plug, the fuse box plug you got from the car that you bought this from the salvage yard. I think I paid like maybe $10 for mine. It's worth it because you actually get these little pins, the wires with the little pins at the end, and you can solder that to your fog light wiring harness. And I went to AutoZone. Like, these pins are very hard to find. Like, you're not gonna find this at AutoZone. You really need to go to a junkyard and find an old Nissan or an old Maxima as well. Will work, I guess, and get this This for the headlights and all that. It's under the fuse box, under the hood, and you get these little wires, and you're going to solder one of these wires with this little small end, and then you're going to plug it into the box wiring of your car. So basically, you know, you're getting very stock. Okay, I've completed the soldering for the wiring that I brought from the salvage yard. As you can see, I've placed the 2 wires that I bought, and they're right here. I've soldered them into the wiring harness, and they clipped right into place into the new fitting. And I opened up the box and ran the wires straight into the fuse box. This little piece right here, you can just pop it out. This piece pops right out, and you can run it right into the box. And I ran the wires all the way down here. These 2 wires right here are going to go into my wiring harness, and this is the wiring harness for my fog lights. And it has the attached H11 ends with this end, which I'm going to solder onto the other end to power it. And then I'm going to ground it to my battery using this wire. Ground it with this wire. It's going to go here. Okay, now I've completed the fog light wiring and everything. Everything's all wired up. To turn it on, you have to turn on the low beam and the fog lights at the same time, or else the fog lights don't come on by themselves independently unless you wire them that way. But let's have a look at what I did. As you can see, I now have working fog lights wired into the stock system. And how I did that was I ran the ground from the battery versus the bumper, like some people do. Like it's going down into the bumper, as you see. I ran them down to the fog lights. You can use this panel, like pop these out, and that way you can see off in here. You can see your wiring down there. I don't know if you can see. Those are my wires. I haven't yet zip tied them down yet, but everything's wired. It's just not, secured down yet. And I will say one thing: you do not have to remove your bumper to install fog lights on this car. Like everything can be accessed from popping it through your liner, or you can just kind of feel your way through here when you're putting the wires actually in. Like you can do everything from up under here. You don't have to remove your bumper. And I used a clothes hanger and just extra wires to just kind of help me guide the wires through the bumper and everything. So it's pretty easy once you understand what you're doing.